Good morning. This is Annie Pan, Chicago Title. I'm the Vice Chair of Affiliate this year. Today we're going to do the escrow panel. We have three wonderful, excellent escrow officers. And I'm going to introduce them, and each one of them is going to have 30 seconds to tell them more about themselves to you. So first is Vanessa James from Viva Escrow. And Vanessa.
Hello everyone, good morning.
Run.
Okay. I'm from Viva Escrow. We recently moved to Monrovia about a year ago. Do everything online. I've been in escrow for about 15 years now, and I'm the immediate past president for the Escrow Association of San Gabriel Valley.
Next is Alina Chu from American Trust Escrow.
Good morning, everyone. I work with American Trust Escrow San Marino. I've been in the escrow business for over 30 years. Kind of scary to say that, but it's true. I shouldn't have said that, but it's out there now. And I used to co-own Golden Escrow, back in the people who've been doing business for a long time. And it's great to be here. Thank you.
The last one, we have Champion Escrow, Jacqueline Chu.
Good morning, everyone. Jacqueline Chu, Champion Escrow. I've been in the escrow industry for over 24 years. I was once Alina's assistant. And now I have my own, and I'm in Temple City. And just very happy to see all of you today.
Thank you. So the first question is for Jacqueline. I'm about to write an offer for my client. Sorry, before that, I need to read a disclaimer. I'm just testing to see everybody's paying attention. Okay, let's start with the disclaimer. The information contained in this presentation is only intended to provide a guide to which the information is applicable. No representation is made as to the legal validity of the information or the adequacy of it in any specific transaction. The information contained should only be used after consultation with your real estate broker or with legal counsel. Processing information contained in this presentation will be further subject to local customs and or regional government requirements for the area in which the subject property of the escrow is located. So let's go back to the first question to Jacqueline. I'm about to write an offer for my client. Should I ask my client for her ID to confirm her name?
Yes, absolutely. When you write an offer, it's very important that you get your client's driver license, or if they don't have a driver license, they're foreigners, you can ask them for the passport. Make sure you put down their name the way it is that appears on the ID, because once you open escrow, we prepare the escrow instructions based on what you have on the contract. And then the loan, on the loan side, they will process the loan based on the name that's on the escrow instructions as well. I want to share with you a horror story. Escrow, us in escrow, we have plenty of horror stories. Right? Recently, I have a transaction where we had a buyer who had actually changed her name years ago. It was like over 10 years ago when she became a U.S. citizen. She had changed her name. So she changed her name on her ID. But everything else, she didn't change her name. Like, she didn't change her name on the Social Security card there. Even at work, her payroll was under her old name. Everything. She was filing taxes under her old name. So the whole transaction was done with the name that is, on the contract. So when the loan docs arrived and we were ready to sign her, we saw that the driver license did not match what we have on the loan docs. So that was a problem. That was a problem. And when the lender found out, the lender declined the loan.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, but it took a long time for her to get the loan docs and all that. We were like way past our escrow period. So the seller was very upset. the seller wanted to cancel and then take her deposit. And of course, the buyer was not willing to let go. And so the cancellation wasn't very, pleasant. But at the end, the buyer still lose some money. And we had to cancel because the lender was not going to do her loan until she fixed her, put her name under her with the credit bureau and changed her name at work and, provided all that stuff is a new name. So it could be a big problem.
Thank you, Jacqueline. So this question is for Alina. Should I send the request for repairs to escrow on a 1 to 4 residential transaction?
Okay. Normally, the request for repairs is an item that is negotiated between the buyer and the seller. Now, most experienced realtors prefer to only request for an amendment for the credit as a result of this request for repair. And this document should rarely be shared with an escrow company. And keep in mind, because the reason is that when you submit it to escrow, we have to provide that to the lender. And once you provide that to the lender, then the lender can sometimes need to take that into consideration when they underwrite the loan. So this could raise possibly a red flag. So it would be best that when you ask for a credit, because most credits lenders only accept it for closing costs. You don't want to write it, or they will not even accept it if you write it for repairs. So it's just best that the realtors will keep that within yourself and just request to the escrow company to prepare an amendment for the credit. So that would be best. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. This question is for Vanessa. I have a listing where the legal vested owner of a property on title has passed away, but the wife and adult children have consented to the sale. How can I get the property transferred to their children or spouse so I can open escrow?
That's actually a pretty common question I get. Unfortunately, California probate law states that when a person passes away without anyone else on title to the property, even if they're married or the property needs to go to probate court. It doesn't matter. Even if, in order for it to pass to their spouse or their children, even if there's a will for the judge to consider, it still needs to go to probate court. It makes it easier if there's a will, but they have to oversee transferring the property to the rightful recipients because there might be something else that comes up. And it could be an extremely lengthy and costly process, anywhere from 12 months to several years. I think the average I've been told by the attorneys is 12 months to 18 months if it's relatively simple, but it has gone on for longer than that at times as well. And like I said, it could be very costly. There's a probate code section 810, it sets forth the fees that a probate attorney or the personal representative can charge, and it's based on a certain percentage, and it's thousands and thousands of dollars. I don't think I'm allowed to talk about fees, but it's a lot. It's really a lot. So, and not to mention all those other court fees. So the only other way, well, one of the ways to avoid probate court is if you put your property in a living trust. Be a lot more cost effective. Well, yes, but if one passes and the other one's incapacitated or passes away also, so
It goes on.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. So Jacqueline, this question is, my seller is in overseas. Where should my seller get the grantee notarized?
Okay, we all know that if they're not in the U.S., they should go to the U.S. Embassy, right? But, you'd be surprised. Sometimes we can tell the clients that, but if they just hear a notary, and sometimes there are local notaries wherever they're at. They may just get it notarized there, and you don't know until we get it back. So we need to really stress that they need to go to the U.S. Embassy. Now I know a lot of people, they may not live near the U.S. Embassy, so it's very hard for them to make a trip there, and the appointments take a long time. It's like 2 weeks out at least, you know. And recently I had a transaction where the client was signing loan docs in Hong Kong, and he had signed. We told him to go to the U.S. Embassy, but he somehow signed it with a local notary and sent it back. But of course, that was not going to be able to record. Now there are a certain countries or regions, if they belong to like the Hague Convention, where they can get a local notary to do it, but they need to get an apostille. So, and getting that it could be, you know, it may not be an easy process too. So the best thing is just remind them they need to go to the U.S. Embassy. And then also let them know once they have it notarized, be sure to scan a copy back for us to review, because you never know. Sometimes the way they do the notary, they may sign in the wrong place, or the American consulate there may write in like the wrong, you know, they wrote in the wrong date one time I had, and they scratch it out and they rewrite it, and that was not going to fly, you know, with the county there. They're not going to let us record. So just look out for that.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Elena, what procedures has the escrow industry implemented to prevent wire fraud?
Well, unfortunately, right now, cyber crimes targeting wire transfers is on the rise. I mean, it's on our daily life now. We all have to live with it now, and it's something we have to work against every day. So what we asking, what our company procedures nowadays is we're asking for the agents to provide us with the phone numbers, the buyer, the seller's contact information, so that way we can have direct contact with them. We have their direct numbers, and we can have that throughout the transaction. And that way we can call them, introduce ourselves, verify. Like for the buyer's deposit, we can let them know that we will be transacting the wire information. It will be sent to a secure email. So nowadays, you know, you have to create passwords, or if it's TS, you know, if you linked already, sometimes it pop out without the password, but we have to send that secure email. And then you've seen all our emails nowadays that for any wire transfers to call us to verify the information. That is very important for the customers to be aware of that. And for the sellers, what we have done nowadays, for the seller's proceeds, our disbursements instructions, we are asking that to be notarized. So the sellers can prepare them, ask them for check with their bank, collect their wire information, fill out the form, and we can only disperse funds to the seller. If it's to a trust, it will be to a trust. It cannot be dispersed to any other third parties or any other disbursements. And if they want to change that information, we will ask them to re-notarize that form. So prepare your sellers to collect that information and all that. And then I'll let Vanessa to continue on that.
So basically every escrow company has their own internal wire procedure. So some require notaries, some don't. You check with your own individual escrow company that you use. But generally speaking, the goal is to reduce third-party liabilities. So that's to you. We're here to protect you and your clients and their hard-earned money. So do check with your own individual escrow company. But whenever possible, like she said, we want to be able to verify the wire instructions, whether it's something going out or wire coming in. So have your clients contact us to confirm it, because there's been times when they change the escrow company letterhead and they keep our letterhead and they change the wire instructions. We've heard of so many cases where the realtor's email was hacked. So if you're, the best thing to do, we think, in the escrow industry is for the escrow company to send the wire instructions directly to your client, because most of our emails are secure, encrypted, or something like that. So if we send it directly to the client, it's not us to you. To maybe it goes to your general Hotmail or Gmail account, and then you send it out. That's when it gets hacked. That's the majority of times is when it gets hacked. So and if your company has your own like Century 21 company email, when you have to do with wire or money, use that. Don't use your personal one. Again, you may not be covered. And if you do send an email, please don't put wire instructions in the subject line, because there's people there that are just waiting. They know your property's in it, or it's listed. Their whole job is just sitting there waiting for somebody to put wire instructions in the subject line, and then they hack into that particular email. And they might even just be silent for the majority of the period, and then towards the end of the escrow, they know it's going to close. Then that's when they come in and they switch up the accounts, or they say, hey, we're not using our Bank of America account anymore, can you send it to our Wells Fargo? And the email looks like it's coming from the client, but with one slight variation in the email address, so be careful.
Yeah, that is, it is really, really scary nowadays with the cybercrime and all these wire fraud. I want to share with you some statistics I got from the Department of Business Oversight and from the FBI. Now, according to the Department of Business Oversight, who regulates us independent escrows, since January 1st, 2016, am I coming in and out of this thing? Yeah. There have been 25 cyber thefts reported by 24 different companies. Now, the thefts total over $4 million, with actual losses to the companies of over $2.2 million. Now, just this year, up to date, there have been 9 companies reporting 10 losses, which totaled over $1.6 million. And the actual losses were like over $1 million. So we really need to do a lot to protect our clients' money. And now, according to the public service announcement by the FBI, just on this May 4th, 2017, between January 2015 and December 2016, there was a 2,370% increase in identified exposed loss. Now, these scams were reported in all 50 states, so it's not just here, with us. It's all across the U.S. and over 131 countries. Okay, and these victims reported that the fraudulent transfers have been sent to 103 different countries around the world. And then check this out. Between 2013 October and 2016 December, there have been 40,203 domestic and international incidents, which total an exposed dollar loss of over $5.3 billion. And just U.S. victims, 22,292 of them, and which total over $1.5 billion loss for us here in U.S. So it's really scary. We are doing a lot. We are trying a lot, very hard, to protect our clients' funds. We send secure email out a lot. For those of you who have worked with us, we do send out a secure email. Our email, some companies' emails are different. Some you need to create passwords. Some you just click a link to get in. So it really just depends on the secure email service providers that we're using, And we really appreciate everybody's cooperation to work with us on this, because the bottom line is we wanted to protect you. We wanted to protect your client. And many times it's not just about the wire, instructions that we need to protect. we need to protect the whole integrity of the file. Like, for example, these fraudsters out there, they're really, just like Vanessa mentioned earlier, they sit there and they do nothing. All they do all day is just to target us. They target realtors, they target escrow companies, and they have these softwares out there, these applications where they can just pick up, as soon as you type in a certain words and your emails contain those certain words, they pull those, it's like in the air, someone explained to me, and they just pull those emails down, and then they know about our transaction. So we need to protect the integrity of our transaction. So we send out a lot of secure emails, and sometimes people will say, well, it's only the wire instructions that we need to protect. Well, like, no, because, even like an amendment, it talks a lot. It tells you about who are the parties, and the amendments may contain information pertaining to a transaction where these fraudsters are just waiting for the right moment to send in, to intercept and to just come right in and pretend they are our clients, or pretend they are you communicating with us, or pretend it's us communicating with you guys or the clients. And personally, I have had I got one like that, a couple of months ago, we have a transaction where I was closing already. And on my closing date, now how do they know that I was closing the escrow that day, right? So I got an email that looked like it's from my seller telling me, oh, I have consulted with our accountant, our CPA. We need to, for tax purposes, we need to send our money to a different account. And here's the information. So had I not, pay attention and, on this, I could have just sent the wire out with that instruction, right? But I made a phone call to my client. That's why we needed our clients' phone numbers and contacts so that we can, directly communicate with them. I called them up and they said, no, I haven't sent you anything, so please, do not follow that instructions. I did not change anything. Everything is as planned. So it's scary.
And just one last thing, I had a transaction where I never met the buyer or the seller. They were out of the country the whole time. So how do I, and the hour difference, it's like a 12-hour difference. How do we do that? How do we verify? So I downloaded one of those apps and we did a Skype to verify the wire instructions just to be sure. So we do that sort of thing.
Okay, thank you. So comes the question for Vanessa. I know escrow is not really supposed to give advice about how a buyer wants to hold title, but what if a buyer wants to hold title as an individual together as joint tenants with an LLC? Can they do that?
Yeah, no. I know we're not supposed to advise, but I don't even think title would ensure that. An individual shouldn't hold title with any entity, whether it's an LLC or a corporation. Holding title as a joint tenant, it basically means that the parties have right of survivorship, right? So if an LLC or corporation is not a real person, their interest can continue on forever. So if the individual passes away, then his interest will automatically go to the surviving joint tenant, and that could pose issues with individuals, that his heirs or their descendants. So you don't really want to do that. It would go to, again, to that surviving trust, the LLC, which could go on indefinitely. But what you can do is own it in tenants in common. So you can have a certain undivided interest. So individual, 50% interest, LLC, 50% interest. You can do it that way. And that way, if the individual passes away, it would, again, have to go through probate, but at least the heirs and the descendants would have a vested interest that would go to them.
Thank you, Vanessa. Due to the time limit, we're going to start opening the questions Q&A. So we have about only 3 minutes left. So, okay.
This may be an appropriate question, but I'm getting emails from other escrow companies that they're willing to offer from the listing broker $500 on the escrow fee, and then they charge whatever they charge on the other side. My question to you is that I don't like to work with escrow company that's down south in Orange County because I don't know who they are, I don't know how it works. Why are they doing this, and how does it affect us as a broker to not select them? Because my buyer or my seller is telling me, hey, it's less expensive, why not go with them? What is the risk, what is the benefit, and what is it an appropriate question to ask?
Can't discuss fees.
Oh, yeah, discuss this.
I believe perhaps you have to check to see if that's a broker-owned escrow. That company may not be an independent escrow company. So maybe that's what they're subject to different regulations, and they're able to offer different things, but this is through their broker's license, not a DBO license.
The next question I want to ask you about earlier, when you guys touched upon when the final fund is closed, it has to be issued directly to the original title holder, whether it's in a trust or LLC. Hypothetically, it is in a trust. The original trustee, they want the money to be wired into their individual account. Is that something doable? Because I've seen some escrow company, they're willing to do it.
Actually, no, they're not supposed to. If let's say the seller's vesting, if he owns it under the trust, we must issue it to the trust. There may be subject to tax consequences that you and I are not aware of, so you don't want to be caught in that tax situation, because they'll come back to you and they say, oh, I'm suffering so much in tax, and you're not going to find out until much later. So you have to tell them the funds can only be dispersed to the party that's the owner of record, and there's no, if they don't have an account under the trust, they don't have to open one.
Got it.
My question deals with wire fraud, basically, and we get from you an encrypted amendment to escrow, and we take it and get our clients to sign it, and we just send it back through email. So the encryption didn't work, right? Because now anybody could pick that up. How do we get it back to you safely? Mail.
Actually, Bob, when we send you the amendment via email encryption, you could actually reply through that email, and it's secure. It comes right back to us in the same tunnel. Okay, so only if you create a new email, then it would be different. So whenever you're working with an escrow company who's got secure email, you can always, if you want to send them something and you don't have a secure link, you can always call them and say, hey, send me a secure link, and so I can send something to you. You could do that. Okay.
But also to answer that question, that's what we're always asking to verify the wire. So nowadays when we receive it, have the customer call us back to verify the information over the phone, and that way you had another type of communication regarding that.
Okay, yeah, there's a question in the back.
For all of you guys, I guess, if you have a transaction, it's like maybe it's a purchase transaction, and you know that the land or the property is going to be used for cannabis or marijuana growth or the sale of those items, like, what is your protocol like? Is that something you can or can't touch, or like, does that affect your transaction, the escrow side?
I would think as long as it's legal, right?
I don't think we would know the usage of the purchase of the home. You're not gonna be aware of the purpose of why they're purchasing the property. That wouldn't be disclosed anywhere.
So if you're made aware that, like you said, land or even industrial or commercial stuff that's going to be used for that, does that cause a problem for you guys as an escrow?
No, how would they know? How would they know?
Well, I can tell you this. A couple of years ago, before the law passed about these legal marijuana use and all that, I have declined an escrow who, before they opened, they told me, oh, they're planning all these, and so I'm like, Okay, I'm not doing that escrow. But now, actually, if I was to present with one, I would check with my attorney to see if we can do it. And if my attorney says we can do it, we'll be happy to do that.